specialize in music most people hate. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you check out our Facebook page, Instagram, and our website. Let us share the noise with you.
Yo, this is John from Noise Dosage Media, and this episode is brought to you by Begrudgingly Benny. Interested in putting something horrific and grotesque on your next piece of merch? Benny is tucked away in the fiery depths of COVID quarantine, blasting the filthiest of old school death metal and drawing hideous creatures that he is waiting for you to adopt. Go over to Instagram and follow @BegrudginglyBenny and contact him if you would like some really weird original art for your band or label. Super professional, highly recommended. So, off of the topic of your other members, how has Arif in Wormrot, made the band a little bit more proficient being an artist? I see he does a podcast too.
Right.
Because he does artwork for like the album covers and merch and logos and all that shit. And I feel like that's just an extra expense.
Well, he doesn't really do the artwork for the album covers. From what I know, it's we hire external artists to do the work for us for the albums.
Okay.
But most of the shirt designs and a bunch of other things like merch designs are pretty much done by him.
Okay.
And yeah, he's got mad talent. Like he does it for other bands as well, but I guess he just doesn't feel right, like doing the album cover for your own band. There's just something that's maybe corny or cheesy about it that he would rather not do it, I guess. Right. But I can't really say because it's his choice.
Did he do the logo?
Yes, the logo was done by him, and
okay, that makes sense now.
Yep.
Because I remember going on Instagram and I was like, fuck, dude, this guy is so good. Like, I actually had an artist from your area, text me because I bought something from him. And he's like, yo, you're podcasting with, like, people that live around me. Like, hell yeah.
Awesome.
And he's like, check out their podcast. I'm like, he has a fucking podcast? Like, what? So, it's funny how it all comes around. But now, do you think having him do some artwork makes the image of the band more defined? Like, I feel like if you commission an artist, you don't really get exactly what you want sometimes.
Yeah, I guess there's pros and cons to it, but when you commission someone to do your artwork, I guess you really have to do your research before you pick someone. So we for voices, we got the artist Killas. He's a close friend of ours, who's actually also a tattoo artist over in Singapore, and we actually love his work. So he, like the band picked him based on the specific style of art that he actually does, and so I guess it's a common agreement between the whole band saying that we love this direction, we love what he's doing, and it would go really well with our next record. So let's do that. So we don't have much issues in terms of not getting what we want. Right. In terms of artwork, because we carefully select the artist based on what we have in mind. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. For sure. So I was on your Facebook and I saw that you guys are doing like a lot of like Facebook live stream questionnaire type videos.
Right. Yep.
How are you guys staying active on social media other than that? Or is that kind of the main platform you've been using?
Well, we're trying as much as we can to, interact with our followers and friends from all around the world. We're trying our best to actually put out some sort of content in a time like these. Corona is really, really affecting the way that we are, making content. We haven't even rehearsed for months, ever since our last Australian tour hit. Supporting Obituary. Ever since then, we have not been in the studio. We haven't, got together and written songs together. So everything has changed. The whole process has really changed. Um, how we interact with the crowd, everything. We're supposed to have a really long tour, and interaction wise, everything's supposed to be awesome. We're supposed to be out there, meeting people and spreading our music, but we can't do that. So the best we can do is have podcasts where people can interact with us via chats,
Right.
just so that they can know what's up, what's happening in our lives, as well as for us to know how everyone is doing out there. So I think it's a mutual. It's just a chill out session. Just treating it as a friend talking to a friend. It's nothing special, but that's the least we can do in a difficult time like this, I guess.
Right. I've seen a lot of bands that just like have dropped off. Like they haven't posted
Yeah,
a fucking thing. And it's like, damn, dude, like
exactly.
you don't know if those bands are going to be around because like if they're not going to even post during this, like I could just imagine the band like even rehearsing. Like they're going to be
Yeah,
so rusty.
yeah, man.
Like
Exactly.
so
I think it's also really messed up for the bands who have had all the tours lined up. Everything has been planned, and bands who have already recorded albums that are ready to be released. So what comes after a release of an album is, of course, you got a tour to promote that album. So that album doesn't get
right.
as promoted as much as they would like to. So you kind of make a more of a loss as compared to being able to tour with that new record, selling merch on the road, etc., etc. So I think all musicians are really suffering in that sense. A lot of people are being discouraged, but what
Yeah,
we,
dude.
yeah,
Yeah, for
exactly.
sure.
What we really need to remember is that a time like this is it won't last. It's going to get better. Like, we just have to have hope, we just have to have faith. Like when you first started playing music, you never knew that your music is going to go out there, but it did. But
Right.
you had
Right,
faith.
for sure.
Exactly. So faith and hope is definitely needed in a time like this.
Right. I
Yeah.
two things that I've been noticing out of these chats with bands is number one, they're either like very shot down from this whole thing and they're just not writing,
Right.
or B, like they just released a record and they had this huge tour lined up and it got
Exactly.
freaking bombarded, and it's kind of like a really shitty thing to talk about. Like for me, like I'm like, damn, dude, like these are
Yeah.
bands like that weren't super huge that had like an amazing opportunity and it just got freaking demolished, and it's hard to like get out of that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Being
Yeah.
that level.
It's
So
exactly what I'm kind of feeling in this sense, because we were supposed to play a bunch of concerts that we've never played before, and these like, to me, these concerts, some of them were like dream concerts since I was a child. Like, for example, Wacken, we are supposed to play Wacken this year, Partisan, Brutal Assault, and all these concerts have been postponed. Not saying that they won't happen, but we have decided to let the world heal and take a step back. We're not going to promise the people that, oh, we're going to come back next year or we're going to come back the following year, because we don't know what's going to happen. You see, like, we
right.
don't it might still be the same next year, it might still be the same the following year. So what we want to do is just step back, let the world heal. We have to deal with what we have to deal, and uh, yeah, just keep hope that things will look up, I guess.
Right. There's a few concerts that are being posted in my hometown, and they're like promoting it like it's gonna happen in like
Yeah,
I think June, like around June 20th or something like that. And I'm like, dude, like it's a
man.
3-day festival. Like you're gathering all these people around. Like,
It's not
why?
cool. Yeah, exactly. I think it's a very bad thing to do. I mean, I wouldn't say it's a bad thing. I think it's a very irresponsible thing to do. Like keeping, making keep getting people's hopes high, and then after that crushing it, or all that planning going into place, and your manager or booking agent has to, plan all the shows. Venues have to plan the shows, and then everything just gets shut down, and all of that just goes, in the drain for nothing. Like, I think it's a very irresponsible thing to do. I mean, I understand bands really want to get on the road. They can't wait to get back on the road. But
Right.
it's
What if it's
it's
safety for other people? Like,
yes,
what's the point? I
exactly.
think to me, it's more like, I don't know. Like, how do I put this? You can't push something that's got like a broken freaking wheel.
Exactly,
Like,
yeah.
you can't fix something that's broken. And like, if you gotta wait, you gotta wait.
Yeah,
Um, and I feel like you got to do that a lot in the music scene. So
yeah.
I don't know.
I mean,
So here's
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, sorry. Go ahead.
I had another question after that. If you had something to add to the last part.
Well, yeah, I just wanted to add on, like, what you say is true. If someone has, like, for example, a broken arm or broken leg, and they're planning shows the next week or the following week when they need time to heal, that's just irresponsibility on that individual's part, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. So here's another question for you. What are some positives and negatives of being a three-piece band?
Definitely one of the positive would be, you know less drama, I guess. Three is already a crowd, so the lesser the people, the easier it is to communicate. It's easier to fit everyone's schedule, when we are all free to be able to come together and rehearse.
Right.
We don't have to carry as much equipment on the tour bus or tour van, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
That's definitely a bonus. um, yeah, so I guess those are the pros, and maybe the cons would be like, uh, well, your sound wouldn't be as, I wouldn't say complete, because it depends. If even if, like, for example, for us, we don't have a
Mm-hmm.
bass player, but
Right.
our
You have like a
guitarist.
splitter.
Yeah, I don't exactly know what Rashid does with his guitars, but when he plays, he actually covers up everything. So, it sounds full. It's as though there is a bass player, but there isn't one. So
Right.
I guess, he can kill two birds with one stone, and that really helps. That really helps, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, yeah,
I think he's got a splitter because the type of music that you guys play is very like bass heavy.
yeah.
So I think he just had some type of he basically I think from my knowledge of watching YouTube videos and stuff, I think do you guys bring a bass cab with you or you use like in-house stuff?
Well, on tours we do rent out all of the cabs, and yeah, we rent out a bass cab as well. So yeah, I think he does that splitter thing, but I can't really say for a fact, because I don't want to say something that might not be true or might be true. So yeah,
Right.
but yeah, he plugs into like multiple amps, and the bass cap as well. So yeah, he's able to get that full sound, regardless of not having a bass player. Yeah,
Without having another body.
exactly.
Less people, less issues. I've always had that motto.
Yep, that's true.
So, yeah. Would you consider Singapore to be on the map for upcoming grindcore acts?
Um, well, I can literally count the number of grindcore bands with my hand. So like number of
Oh
grindcore bands.
shit.
Yeah, so it's not a place where you would expect to see grindcore to be to strive.
Uh-huh.
Although we are we're just hoping that there will be more bands who take after us and start more grind bands and stuff like that. But it's just the way of living life, the way life is lived in Singapore is very different compared to other countries. Like we don't have our own garage where we can just jam out and write songs all day. We have to pay for rehearsal studios, and we don't have as many live venues as we would like to have.
Right.
And yeah, so like the government is really strict on all this things. Like some venues would have this sort of rules where you can't mosh, you can't body surf or something. So it's good.
Oh man.
I mean, it's bad for our grind or extreme kind of music, but for other music, I guess Singapore would strive better for them, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So when you mean strict, with the rehearsal studios, does that mean like you have to pay to go to a studio, like a legitimate recording studio to rehearse?
Yeah, but I wouldn't really say you would have to pay for a recording studio, because there are some recording studios who rent out their studios as just for jamming purposes, but there are jamming studios just meant for jamming studios, and yes, we have to pay for them, and it's not cheap. It's I would say it's about like $23 per hour. So
Holy shit! Well, that
yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Is that U.S. dollar? Are you
Singapore,
comparing it to?
Singapore dollars,
Okay.
which is
Now,
it's still expensive.
right. Yeah. Um. Shit, man. So is there like a noise ordinance type deal, or
uh,
why is that?
well, sorry, what was the question? What was
Why
that?
why can't you guys like practice at your garage
Oh
or
no,
house?
because we don't have space for a garage. Most of the buildings in Singapore, most of the houses, and we all stay in like high-rise flats and condominium or whatever. So we don't have like a particular space like a garage to put. I have a
Right.
home studio which can fit my drums as well as
Mm-hmm.
a couple of amps and maybe one other guy. I have enough space for that in my room, and even that, like, I can't jam past a certain time. Like I gotta stop at about 7 or 8 p.m. If not, the neighbors would come knocking on the door. So
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
there's a lot of restrictions, space restrictions in Singapore. Property here is really expensive, so even if we want to get our own studio, it's going to cost us a bomb. And yeah, so we just have to make do with what we have. So it's like each week, when we do rehearse, it's $23 an hour, maybe about 46 yeah, $46 for 2 hours. We normally just rehearse 2 hours each time, and we
Mm-hmm.
split it amongst the three of us.
Yeah.
So
No bluff. It's play the set, leave.
yeah.
Damn. I feel like a lot of bands here could use that shit. Like I feel like bands that have the space, like I know for a fact my band, like
Right.
you get too comfortable and you're like, shit, man,
Oh
we
yeah.
could just hang and jam out.
Well, I guess
But
there's a theory to it. Like the less you have, the more you have to gain, and the more you have, the less you have to gain. So I guess it's like one of those things where when you have more, you kind of forget the little things that you have in your life. Uh,
right, for sure.
Having a home studio for me is already a very big blessing. Like compared to people in Singapore, most even drummers or musicians, even if they want to rehearse, they have to rent like a studio, because it's nearly impossible to have a drum kit in your house and not have your neighbors complain in Singapore. Yeah, nearly
Fuck.
impossible.
So how do you rehearse? Do you have an electronic kit?
No, I have an acoustic kit. What I did is I actually spent about uh, I spent a lot of money on this because it was a major investment for me. I believe it was a long-term investment, and I needed to do it because drums is like keeps my sanity, like keeps me,
Right.
yeah, it
Sure.
keeps me going, and I needed this, so I invested a lot of money in a proper soundproofing in my house. I actually shifted homes like about an year ago, uh, and this new house had like an extra room which was like which we didn't know what to do. So I was just like, hey, let's make it into a studio where I can just spend the whole day bumming out, practice, call it my man cave, if you will. Um,
Yep.
and I did that, and it served me well. Like it really, it's like my favorite place to be in the house, and helps me to practice. Yeah, I don't like the idea of just practicing on an electronic kit, and then
Oh,
when you
I
go,
hate it. I just
yeah.
sold mine.
Oh shit. Yeah, when you go to studio and you like rehearse with your band, like the feel is completely different. Like when you have an electronic kit, you tend to hit um I would say softer on a real kit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like volume,
It
dynamics.
just sounds robotic. Like
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm not a drummer myself, but I was having issues with, neighbors that got annoyed, and it was just an electronic kit, and they're like, "Come on, man, we're hearing thumping through the walls. We're over it.
Yeah,
We're gonna
yeah.
file a noise complaint." I'm like, "All right, dude." Like,
Yep, that's what happens every day in Singapore if you were to have a drum kit in your house, pretty much. Yeah.
but instead of like an apartment manager, it's like the cops.
Yeah.
So here's a funny one for you. Who parties harder, Singapore or United States
Oh, of
at
course,
shows?
United States, man. Like, we have our. Oh, you mean at shows? Okay, we have our own. Um, what's it called? The usuals, the people who come to the shows, and we're the familiar faces. Who,
Right.
yeah, there are some of them who really do go, wild at shows and let loose and stuff. But it's nothing. Definitely, I would say it's nothing compared to the States. Um, I've only done one US tour with the guys, although they have done like 3 or 4 tours in total. I've only done one with them,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm not wrong. Yeah, so that was a crazy one. It definitely was a how would I put it? It was a new perspective for me in terms of crowds. But I do believe like Europe and US have amazing crowds, and the UK. Yeah,
Hell yeah. Yeah, I've
everyone
been
just goes
told the
nuts.
UK is
Yeah,
very good.
yep, yep.
So what have you learned coming to the States? Like being like an outsider, if that's what you could call it. Um,
Yeah.
like how are the people compared to like the scene, basically?
Well,
How's it
everyone. Yeah.
different?
Um. You mean the people outside the scene?
Well, I mean, like in general, like when you go to a show in Singapore
Mhm.
versus United States, what's like the biggest difference you'd say?
Um. Well, new faces, I guess. um.
Right.
Well, if you're talking about it in that sense, how well.
Like, do you play with a lot of bands in the same genre in the United States, or does it vary?
Oh yeah, in that sense, it's different because in Singapore sometimes we have shows that we are playing with bands of different genres. Like there's a bunch of festivals here. One of them is called Beats, which we play, and it's like a combination of different genres, different artists. There's R&B, there's hip hop, there's rap, there's rock, there's funk, there's everything. But in the US, where the shows that we played were all pretty much grind shows. Yeah, except
Sweet.
probably the most versatile one that you would consider is maybe uh, Maryland Death Fest, I guess. But then
Yeah,
again,
dude, I've never been to that, dude. Pisses
it's
me
crazy,
off.
man.
Everybody
It's crazy.
talks about that. Every freaking podcast.
One of my
They're
favorite
like,
shows, man.
yeah, I gotta make it out there.
You have
By the
to.
time give this podcast a year and I'll like know every fucking band that's playing. So I'll roll in, I'll start waving at people to be like, who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah.
So how have you I know you were talking about renting gear, but like how do you keep your costs down? Because I'm guessing it's not cheap.
We're trying as much as we can to rely on endorsements. At the current at the moment, I am endorsed with Zildjian cymbals and Yamaha drums,
Sick,
and
yeah.
yeah, and Zildjian sticks. And Rashid is endorsed by Blackstar amps at the moment. So what we get is pretty much a bunch of um, equipment, but not on the road all the time. But I mean, what's good about Rashid's deal is that he gets the amps overseas from Blackstar. Like we get them from the distributors, kind of thing,
Mhm.
or the rental companies, and it's pretty much like free of charge. But for my case, the deal is different, where I get a bunch of cymbals and I get a drum kit. But the cymbals, if they crack, I can change them. If not, they don't provide the cymbals for me overseas unless I rent them overseas. So what I usually have to do is bring my cymbals from Singapore, and now it's really heavy, and everyone knows that cymbals are like one of the heaviest things a drummer has to carry.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So yeah, so like putting them on a flight, especially, it sometimes we have to pay extra just to carry those cymbals. So we have
Son of a bitch.
yeah. So we have to weigh the costs, like literally, if it's more expensive than just renting it out from a backline company, we'd rather just rent it out from a backline company. If it's cheaper,
Right.
then rather bring our own cymbals. But whatever we do, we try to cut costs in terms of equipment rental the best we can do. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, you could go to freaking like Guitar Center and buy a cymbal, probably with the
Yeah,
price. Yeah,
pretty
but buy
much.
like a really cheap one and just beat the hell out of it, I'm
Exactly.
sure.
If it cracks, it cracks. It doesn't matter.
And then just throw it in the crowd. I'm done with it.
Yeah. Yep.
So here we go. Some questions on the new record here. How far in depth do you edit your drums, like
Uh,
when recording? Like, do you go like do you match every hit basically? Do you line everything up, or do you just keep it raw?
well, I keep it as raw as I can, and at the same time, line it up as much as I can. So it's more of being natural, being myself in the studio. I would say I don't use triggers. I don't use any artificial sounds, if you will.
Yeah,
So
I'm giving you a high five right now, dude.
cheers, dude. Yeah, yeah. I kind of really go against that idea of changing your entire sound using triggers and stuff like that. I mean, I understand if you are playing a super fast, double bass kind of genre, like maybe black death metal or something, and you need that consistency in the sound. But when it comes to grindcore, you just kind of want that natural thud, I guess, from the bass drum, from the kick drum.
Yep. Yep.
So I try to keep it as natural as I can, and yeah. Here's the thing: I don't even use a metronome, man. we
How about
Yeah,
yeah, clicks? No clicks?
no clicks, man, no clicks. It's yeah. Like
Jeez.
Rashid will play the guitars with me while I look at him while we record together, and everything is just how it would be in in like a rehearsal studio. Nothing is
Right.
yeah, nothing is faked. Everything is real. Yep.
Do you know Gorguts?
Yeah, yeah. Great band.
So I was talking to Keith the guitar player. And he said to me, he goes, yeah, man. No, Kevin, sorry. He goes, yeah, we don't use clicks live or in recording. I'm like, what did you just say to me? Like, if you know Gorguts,
Yeah.
you assume that they use clicks. And he's like, no, we just think it's more natural. I'm like, holy shit, man. Like, that blows my fucking mind.
Yeah.
So
I guess it comes to a point where you have if everyone does their homework in the band, you don't need a click, neither do you need anything else to guide you. Well, it all just comes down to everyone just doing their own practice, and yeah, that helps a lot. That helps in every scenario. Live, let's say for example, if you're playing live and your monitors, you can't hear like you can't hear the guitarist and you're the drummer, but you know your parts, you know everything exactly how it's meant to be played. It's still going to be tight, if you don't know your parts and you rely on the guitarist for or the click for
yeah,
tempo changes or part changes, then it's like you're like basically just on a safety net all the way. There's no fun in it, and it's just not
right.
as natural, I guess.
You just know when that freaking next riff's coming in, man.
Yeah.
Like, I gotcha. So, last question here. What's something that nobody knows about the newest record, Voices?
um hmm.
Maybe recording.
I guess
I don't know.
yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
that's one thing probably people don't really know, is that we have the whole thing documented. Like, we had a bunch of videographers in the room. I mean, in the recording studio, and they actually filmed the entire process, the entire process. Now this footage is out there somewhere, and
Oh boy.
yep, and some things definitely gonna come up sooner or later. It's just a matter of when. So, yeah, I guess that's just something, and like the situation, the issue is that these files are really big, and
Oh
we
yeah. Is it 4K?
oh man, dude, I don't know about the video quality or anything, but the files are like terabyte huge kind of thing.
Holy yeah, it's 4K for sure.
Yeah, so
uh,
none of
God.
us have a big enough hard drive to fetch these files from the video guys. So I guess the
Especially not your computer.
yeah. Yeah, man. I guess what we need to do is really just get just to buy a hard drive, and that ball will keep rolling. But it's just a matter of when. But now that you reminded me, I think I might look into that in the coming days. So thanks for that.
Hell yeah. That'd be perfect, man.
Sweet.
People would be like sitting at home on a Monday, like going, you know what? I'm gonna watch a Wormrot freaking documentary.
Yeah, why not?
That'd be sick, man. Is there anything you want to promote?
Well, I guess we don't have anything to promote at this point. We're just working on the new sounds, new record. Um,
How about
that's
merch?
well. Oh yeah, merch wise. Well, we just closed the pre-sales for our recent US tour shirts,
Mm-hmm.
but I think yeah, I think there's still. Yeah, you guys can. If anyone wants to buy our merch, they can go to our Bandcamp page and
Mm-hmm.
purchase it from there. Let me just see what's the link.
Now, Earache, is that from the United States? I don't even know.
You mean the label?
Yes.
Yeah, I think no, I think they're based in Birmingham, but they have a US office as well. I think, if I'm not wrong.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
was looking at them. I'm like, where are they located, man?
Yeah.
Wait, what the hell?
Well, if people want to buy our merch, they can head over to wormrot.bandcamp.com.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah,
Yeah, grab it all.
grab it all.